Hey guys, we are looking at some graphs here, and we want to write the solution set in interval notation. Interval notation gives you a range of numbers that will work for this. So these are graphs of inequalities. And if you are like feeling a little rocky on this, I'll link a video for you in the corner where I have inequalities and graph them. But if you've been working with them, you probably understand what this means. So when I'm doing interval notation, I want to represent a range of numbers that will work for whatever inequality this is representing. So the answers that will work go from -6 to 4, right? I should be able to pick any number in there and it should work for my inequality. But this one has a closed circle, this one has an open circle. So what does that mean? Well, that means the solution includes -6, but it does not include 4. So how do I show that? Well, if it does include the number, you use a bracket like this. So that would signify to somebody who understands interval notation, okay, -6 is a number I can pick, all the way up to 4, but not including 4 because of that open circle. To signify that, I'm going to do a parenthesis. And that would be this written in interval notation. It may or may not ask you to also find the inequality. If it does want you to, this is an and inequality. It would be x is greater than or equal to 6. Sorry, -6, right? It can be it, so that's why it's greater than or equal to, because it's bigger. But it doesn't keep going over here, so we know this must be an and inequality. It needs to satisfy both of these. So x also needs to be less than 4. So these are two ways to represent this graph. This is the inequality and this is the interval notation. All right, let's go ahead and look at another one. This one, my answer can be anything bigger than 7, not including 7, right? So my range of answers goes from 7 all the way forever. How do I signify that? Well, I use a fun little thing called infinity, because I can pick any number from 7 to infinity, but not including 7 because of that open circle. So I'm going to use a parenthesis, and then infinity, and sometimes you also use negative infinity. They always, always, always get a parenthesis because infinity is not actually a number. It's like a ideal, right? And so we always put a parenthesis with that. Now this as a inequality would be x is greater than 7. No equal to because of that open circle. All right, next one. This one must be an or inequality because it can be any of these numbers over here or any of these numbers over here. So I'm going to have actually two ranges on this one. So this one represents all the way down, we could go that way forever, to negative infinity. And then all the way to 0. Now, negative infinity is always going to get a parenthesis. Can it be 0? Yes, because of that closed circle. So I'm going to use a bracket. All right. And then my other range goes from 8. Does it ever stop? No, there's an arrow. It's going to keep going forever. So all the way from 8 to infinity. Then I ask brackets or parentheses. Because it's a closed circle, it can include 8. So we're going to do a bracket. Infinity always gets a parenthesis. Now we want to somehow signify that these are together. These aren't two separate answers. So we put a U in the middle, which is for union, meaning it's this one or this one to satisfy our inequality. Now, what is our inequality? Well, we know that this one, x must be less than or equal to 0. That is that one. Or this one, x could also be greater than or equal to 8. So that is the inequality. That is the interval notation, and that is the graph. All right, one more. So here we've got, it can be -4 or anything smaller. So all the way over there, is negative infinity, right? You can pick any number from negative infinity to negative 4. Infinity and negative infinity always get a parenthesis. Because it's a closed circle here, it does include negative 4. So I'm going to put a bracket. So the inequality for this would be x is less than or equal to negative 4. All right, I hope this was helpful. If you need more detailed explanation, I will link a playlist for you in the corner. Thanks.